I want to start this video discussing my personal history with Pokémon. Being born in the early 2000s, my first exposure to the franchise was not through the games themselves. It was through secondhand sources, like the anime, old commercials, weird school rumors, and of course, YouTube videos and Let's Plays. Super Skarmory was one of the first YouTubers I ever watched, and as a kid, I was really enamored by his Pokémon walkthroughs. Look at this. This was quality back then. Pokémon Soul Silver may have been the first Pokémon game I owned, but the first game I saw? Well, that was Pokémon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team. But that's a story for another time. Why is any of this important? Well, because the first mainline game I was exposed to was actually Pokémon Emerald. Yeah, this is it. This is the Pokémon game I have the most nostalgia for. Which is funny considering I never owned the game as a kid. It's like secondhand nostalgia or something. To be clear, I have played it a few times over the years, and although it's been a while since my last playthrough, my opinion has remained the same. I'll say it up front, I love this game. It's a personal favorite of mine, even if objectively speaking, it's a very standard Pokémon experience. That's not to say I don't have issues with it, I absolutely do, but it doesn't hamper my overall enjoyment much. In case it wasn't obvious already, this video is going to be very biased, like, even more so than usual. If you really hate Pokémon Emerald and wanted me to be more harsh towards it, I am very sorry. For some general info, Pokémon Emerald is part of the third generation of Pokémon. Emerald itself is a re-release of Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire. Though for this playthrough, I'll only be acknowledging Emerald. I've never played these two. It was released for the Game Boy Advance, and introduced a lot of new mechanics that became mainstays from here on out. Like the first two generations, the Hoenn games did get remakes, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I'll save my thoughts on these versions till the end, but just saying this now, I do believe there is still merit playing Emerald over these remakes. Actually playing Pokémon Emerald in the modern day though is tricky, assuming you're not emulating it of course. Want to play this on real hardware? Well, good luck trying to find a legitimate copy these days. I'm almost sure half of these are reproduction carts. Even if you have a working cartridge, you still need a working handheld. My Game Boy Advance still works well, but the L and R buttons are starting to break. That's a shame. Like always, I'm doing a Nuzlocke of this game purely because I find challenge runs more interesting. Standard Nuzlocke rules as always, 1 Pokemon per area, and a fated Pokemon is considered dead. I'm also finally adding in the dupes clause. In short, you're allowed to keep searching an area for a Pokemon if your first encounter is a Pokemon you've already caught. And just like Pokemon Crystal, I'm adding the unique dupes clause rule for Pokemon I've already used in previous Pokemon videos. This is purely to give more Pokemon time in the spotlight. I refuse to use Zubat a third time. I'm sorry. With all that said, let's get started, shall we? Pokemon Emerald starts with meeting the Pokemon Professor Birch. He gives the usual speech about how cool Pokemon are and stuff. You pick your gender and name. For this game I went with the boy. Why? Well, when I was younger, I thought his hat was actually his hair. And, I mean, you can't compete with white hair, right? That's cooler than most Pokemon. What's my name? That's a good question. My name is Mr. Pokemon. That's right, I am the authority on all things Pokemon. Interestingly, you don't get to see or name your rival this time around. Instead, you immediately cut to the game. Welcome to Littleroot Town, home to 3 buildings total. Upon arriving in the back of a moving truck, your mom asks you to head to your room and set your clock. Generation 2 utilized an internal clock system for certain events and mechanics. Generation 3, of course, keeps the mechanic, but unlike Crystal, it does not include a day and night cycle. These games are always at daytime, regardless of when you're playing. Other time-based mechanics do make a return though, which leads me to believe that the day and night cycle was cut either because of time constraints, or Game Freak just flat out forgot about it. It wouldn't be the first time. Oh, by the way, have I mentioned we're on new hardware? Yes, we have finally moved on from the Game Boy era and entered the Game Boy Advance. And good lord did it do wonders. I don't think I even need to point out the visual improvements. Look how many colors we can have. Look at how we can squash and stretch sprites. Look at the battle animations. You can actually sort of tell what's going on. I really like how this game looks. I won't pretend Pokemon Emerald is like the peak of GBA visuals. It's really not. But I do think it still holds up today. The music and sound effects, of course, also received an upgrade. The GBA wasn't exactly known for its sound quality, but I do think the music for these games sound nice. I like it a bit more than the chiptune of previous titles. The song playing right now for Little Root Town is straight up one of my favorite tracks in the franchise. It's nice to listen to. Upon exploring the only other damn house in this town, you'll run into your rival for this game. If you're playing as a boy, it'll be May. If you're a girl, it'll be Brendan instead. To my knowledge, they are identical. This generation was the beginning of the friendlier rivals. Yes, unlike Blue or Silver, this rival doesn't belittle you at every opportunity. And honestly, calling them a rival is a bit generous. They do fight you throughout the journey, but they don't care about becoming the champion or anything. Whenever you do run into them, they're more focused on catching Pokemon and completing the Pokédex. I'll save my actual thoughts on the rival for a later time. After meeting your rival, you can head north to leave Little Root. This girl by the exit tells us she heard someone yelling up ahead. Sure enough, you'll see Professor Birch being chased around by a Zigzagoon. He asks you to grab a Pokemon from his bag, and here's where we get our starter choice. A very unique setup for getting your starter Pokemon this time around. Our starters here are Treecko, Torchic, and Mudkip. And to be completely honest, I actually like all three equally. Torchic starts the firefighting trend, but is otherwise a fine Pokemon. Mudkip eventually becomes a water-ground type, a very effective typing, and Treecko's evolutions just look cool. Sadly, due to how the Hoenn region is designed, I almost never pick Treecko. Emerald has a lot of good grass types. The same can technically be said for Mudkip, but water-ground is just too good. For this playthrough, I'll be using Torchic, the first Pokemon I ever saw, fun fact. It was like a weird Pokédex book, I can't remember. One quick battle later, Professor Birch takes us back to his lab. I nicknamed the Torchic Nyx, and Birch asks us to go meet May on Route 103. Oh hey, an excuse to leave the house for once in my life. And so we head off. Route 101 is a very short route, and without Pokeballs, there's no point in lingering here. Welcome to Old Dale Town. This place has our first Pokemon Center and mart for this game. You can get a free potion by talking to this salesperson. Speaking of which, the computer in your bedroom also has a potion. I have no idea why. I don't know how it gets digitized. It just works. Don't question it. Pokemon lore is too deep for me. Up north is Route 103. Here we can finally meet face to face with May. We talk for a bit and then we fight. I guess now's a good time to go over the battle system. Aside from the visual overhaul, battles haven't changed too much. In fact, battles never really change much between games. Pokemon is many things. Consistent is one of them. The big new addition this time around are double battles and abilities. Double battles will come up later, but abilities are things every Pokemon gets. Some abilities provide minor benefits, like Torchic's Blaze, while others completely change how a Pokemon functions. Abilities are one of my favorite new inclusions with this game. Like held items, they're always something I have to consider when creating a team. A Pokemon that may not look like anything special at first can in fact be hiding something special with its ability. Take a look sometime, some of these abilities are ridiculous. The May fight goes smoothly, and we go back to Birch. The professor asks us to complete the Pokédex. I laugh in his face and walk away. May also gives us Pokeballs, so with that, the game can finally start. Before leaving home, our mom appears and gives us the best item in the entire game. Oh, you think I'm joking? Think again. These are the running shoes. Tell me, what do you think these divine shoes can do? What godlike function could Game Freak have possibly added to this game? You can run by holding the B button. It took 3 games to get this feature. Best game ever made! A weird limitation of the running shoes is that you can't run while inside most buildings. I mean, I get it, you shouldn't run indoors, it's bad. But I want to, though. The running shoes effectively replaced the bikes in the old games. The bikes existed only to let you traverse the overworld faster. The running shoes here do that just fine, so this game does something different with their bikes. More on that when we actually get a bike. On Route 101, I accidentally killed a Wormpole, and in Old Dale Town, I headed left. Route 102 is where I found a Poochyena. Not a favorite Pokemon of mine, to be blunt, but sure, I'll catch it, might as well. This route also introduces trainers to fight and berry trees. You can pick these trees to get berries, but you'll need to place a berry in the soil to grow another tree. Berries in this game actually have more uses outside of battling, but for 90% of the game, you'll be using them to cure status effects. I also forgot to set the battle style to set, so yeah, I did that. Petalburg City is home to the 5th gym, and the gym leader happens to be your father. Oh damn, those exist. You also meet Wally here, another sort of rival. He gets an expanded role in the remakes, but here, I genuinely forgot he existed. I think that says enough about Wally. When you try to leave the city, you get stopped by a man named Scott.
Hey y'all, Scott here.
He'll be important later, I think. Route 104, I caught a Meryl and named her Peekaboo. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first Pokemon we've seen from an older generation. Let's talk about that actually, new Pokemon. The Hoenn games introduced 135 new Pokemon to catch, a step up from Crystal's 100 Pokemon. And unlike the Johto games, I feel Hoenn doesn't rely on using older Pokemon nearly as much. For the most part, you will be fighting and catching new Pokemon. There aren't nearly as many evolutions or pre-evolutions added in this generation. As for their designs, I'll admit they do feel very different from other games. Generation 1 and 2's Pokemon felt very cohesive in their designs, partly because I think some of them were supposed to be Gen 1 Pokemon. In contrast, when I look at a Pokemon from this generation, they just feel different. But I don't know enough about character designs to tell you why. I can just tell when a Pokemon came from Hoenn. Maybe it's the official artwork? I can't say. As a whole, I really love the new Pokemon added. This game gave us Slacking. Come on, that's worth like 5 stars right there. Anyway, Petalburg Woods is the early forest dungeon of this game. Here, I encounter a Silcoon. Okay, sure. Petalburg Woods actually has some decent Pokemon to be found. You can find Slackoff here, and he's worth at least 3 stars. This is also where we meet Team Aqua, the first evil team that's not Team Rocket. Ruby and Sapphire did an interesting thing where depending on your version, you would have a different primary evil team. Sapphire has Team Aqua, and Ruby gets Team Magma. I'll talk more about them later, but for Emerald, both teams share the role of antagonist. Going through Petalburg Woods takes us to the end of Route 104. This area gives us our first double battle. This was the other main battle addition to this game. You have 2 Pokemon on the field at once, and you command both of them at the same time. It's pretty easy to understand, and being the first games to have them, this generation features them pretty prominently. Nearly every route in this game has at least one double battle, some of them one after another. I really like this actually. Double battles open the door a bit for more strategy, and it's fun seeing your Pokemon team working together like an actual team for once. I honestly prefer them over single battles. It's a shame they never get this amount of spotlight in the franchise again. I wish there was a game that focused entirely on double battles. Oh, wait a minute. Rustboro City is a neat town, but who cares? I head over to Route 116 to catch a new Pokemon. I end up finding a Nincada, a really unique Pokemon for how its evolution works. Sadly, you'll never see it because I'm not using Nincada. Sorry, bud. I do some more training on this route, and I also stop by Rustturf Tunnel to go and catch a Whismur. Damn it, Nyx! Oh, speaking of Nyx, Torchic evolves into Combuskin, and I gotta say, she looks very phallic. Rustboro City is home to the first gym, and with Nyx's evolution, I think we're ready to take it on. The gym leader for this place is Roxanne. If the name wasn't an indicator, she is the Rock-type gym leader. Her team is 2 level 12 Geodudes and a level 15 Nosepass. As long as you're fighting every trainer up to this point, your team should be strong enough to take her down. Also, literally every starter Pokemon counters her team. Water-type, Grass-type, and Fighting-type, assuming you evolve Torchic. 1 gym badge down, 7 to go. Exiting the gym, you'll see the Team Aqua grunt again. He's stolen Devon goods from this guy, and he wants me, Mr. Pokemon himself, to go get them back. I should really start charging for my services. Head to Rustturf, and you'll also see an old man standing by the entrance. This sick son of a bitch not only stole from the Devon Corporation, but even kidnapped this poor old man's Wingull. When will this bastard be locked up? Fight the grunt and get the goods back. The scientist dude is thankful for our work and has us meet with Mr. Stone, president of the Devon Corporation. He wants us to deliver a letter to his son, Steven, over at Dewford. We have to head there for our next gym anyway, so sure. He also gives us something called the Pokénav. I won't spend long on this. It's essentially this game's version of the Pokégear from Pokemon Crystal. You can do a lot of neat stuff, like make calls and display a map. Like the Pokégear, it's very superfluous, but I find it cute. While in Rustboro, you'll also see May, and she'll ask you for a battle. I think this fight is optional, but do it anyway. It's free experience, and honestly she's not that tough. May's team changes a bit depending on what starter you pick. So for this encounter, she had a Mudkip and a Torkoal. Where did you get a Torkoal? Mate, where have you been? Heading back to Route 104, because we saved this old man's Wingull, he gives us a lift over to Dewford. I don't think boats move like this. Dewford's a town located on a beach, or shore. Up north are a few trainers and Granite Cave. I'm not going to explore this place just yet, but I ended up catching a Makuhita. Welcome to the team, big boy. Other things of note, I grabbed the old rod from this fisherman, and Peekaboo evolves into a Azumarill. And with that, let's go fight the second gym. Dewford is home to Brawly, the fighting-type gym leader. This gym gimmick is kind of annoying. Your vision is limited, and when you fight a trainer, the area you can see grows. I do like how it ties in with HM Flash, something you'll be using soon after this gym. This place is also a maze, but a fairly short one. You'll run into Brawly soon enough. Brawly carries a level 17 Machop, Meditite, and a level 19 Makuhita. Don't underestimate this fight, he can dish out a lot of damage. I sacrificed Silcoon and Ufiana here and got through the fight after enough time. Oh shit, I forgot to nickname Silcoon. The Bug. Okay, there we go. Another gym down. See you around, Brawly. What kind of name is that anyway? Before anything else, I drop off my Pokemon corpses into the PC box, and holy shit, they finally did it. Game Freak finally made a box system that isn't just the worst! You can access multiple boxes at once, and you can see all of your Pokemon easily. You can even rename the boxes. Screw the running shoes actually, this is the best new inclusion. With the second badge in hand, I head back to Granite Cave and use Flash to traverse the second floor. I fight through a horde of Zubats and Arons, and at the end of the cave, I find Steven standing there. As soon as you lock eyes, he tells us we could become the Pokemon champion and gives us his phone number. Dude, I just want to get paid. Alright, that's enough of Dooford for one playthrough. Our next stop is Slateport, and to get there, we hitch a ride with Old Man Jenkins. Route 109 is an interesting place, being a very open beach area. You can probably skip a majority of these trainers if you really wanted to. Slateport does not have a gym, but that doesn't make it any less important. It has a local market, a museum, and a battle tent. If you are playing Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, or the remakes, this tent is replaced with a contest hall. The battle tents are home to special forms of battling. For this tent, we have Battle Swap. You pick out a few Pokemon, and using those Pokemon, you fight through a series of battles. After each battle, you can also replace one of your Pokemon with one the opponent had. I decided to grab a Shroomish with no attacking moves, a Skitty with no attacking moves, and a Ninjask with just Fairy Cutter. Alright, I got the dream team with me. Who's my first opponent? Okay, that's just unfair. Battle Swap was actually pretty fun. It's interesting to be given a random assortment of Pokemon and trying to cobble together a team out of it. It's a neat distraction from the main campaign for a bit, to try and hone your battling skills. Obviously some of these battles will just not be in your favor, but honestly that just makes winning feel all the better. 3 battles later, I won the tournament and got a single full heal. Well, that was almost worth the 9 minutes I wasted here. To be clear, this is the only battle tent I will be partaking in the main campaign, and I also won't be bothering with the Pokemon contests later on. I want to save the rest of these for the post-game, assuming I ever get to that. But I figured I at least show off one for this playthrough. Before continuing the main campaign, I took a detour to Route 110 and found an Electrike. I love this thing. What even is it? A dog? A fox? Well, whatever. His name is Zippy. I talked to a few people and can now enter the Oceanic Museum, with a bunch of Team Aqua grunts in here. You know, maybe these guys aren't actually evil. They're just big fans of the ocean. Well, actually, let's get into that. On the top floor, you'll meet face-to-face with the team's leader, Archie. He explains what the purpose of Team Aqua is. All life depends on water, so he wants to expand the Earth's oceans. It's quite a different motivation from the Mafia gang from before. It's clear that Archie isn't the mustache-twirling villain like Giovanni. I don't know how to feel about Team Aqua, and Team Magma for that matter. They're way more involved in the plot than Team Rocket ever was. They both feel more like direct threats, so I feel more justified when I inevitably ransack their base. But I also think both groups are kinda idiots. Ah yeah, boss, we're gonna expand the water. How are we gonna do that? Oh, well, you see, it's actually quite simple. We're summoning Cthulhu. Archie leaves after soon realizing he cannot contend with the Lord of Pokemon. Scott's also here, maybe. Route 110's got a lot going on, and that's not even considering the cycling road here. We could head left, right, or up into the house. Left takes us to Route 103. Let's go over here. What can go wrong? That can go wrong. The house up here has a small puzzle associated with it. Here you will meet the Trick Master, and he asks us if we're here to challenge the Trick Rooms. You know, funny thing, I actually wasn't. Bye. Heading right will take you to your next rival encounter. May here actually puts up a tough fight. Her team's now at level 20, and on a first playthrough, she'll probably catch you off guard. Luckily, I have the power of Foresight, aka playing this game before. May also has a Slugma now. Okay, first of all, how? And second, where did Torkoal go? What did you do to him? May, I need to know, is he okay? After the fight, May gives you the item finder, and gee, it sure is an item. Past Route 110 is home to the third gym, Mauville City. I forget this place isn't just a giant mall, they made it a mall in the remakes. Why did they do that? Mauville has a few things of note. One is this game's version of the Game Corner, which promotes gambling or something? I don't know. It's a slot machine, what do you want me to say? The other thing is the cycling shop. With the player receiving the running shoes near the start of the game, the bike wasn't really a necessary inclusion for this generation. Game Freak added it in anyway and gave us 2 bikes to pick from, the Acro Bike or the Mach Bike. The bikes are now used to traverse the overworld in unique ways. They both have different properties that let you reach areas you normally couldn't. This is a cool way to keep the bikes relevant and not feel redundant. The main downside though is that you can only get one bike at a time, and to get the other bike, you have to head back to this shop, which can be a small hassle. For most playthroughs, I generally grab one bike and stick with it for the rest of the journey. And for this playthrough, let's use the acro bike. In front of the entrance to the gym stands Wally. Wally's talking to his uncle about how he could totally take on Watson with a level 16 Ralts, and I kindly show him why that wouldn't work. After crushing a small child's dreams, Scott walks in and tells us how we are officially on his list of cool kids. Nice. Left of Mauville is Route 117. This route is where you can find the daycare for this generation, which works nearly identically to how it did in Generation 2. I put Blip in the daycare for now. Don't worry, Blip. I'm sure I won't accidentally forget you until like halfway through the game when you're like level 45 or something. I also caught an Oddish here. I do need a grass type, so I guess Puffball is now a member of the team. Route 117 leads to Verdanturf Town. This town holds another battle tent and a cave entrance for the other side of Rustturf Tunnel. The pathway is unfortunately blocked with rocks, so we can't pass at the moment. There's not much to do in Verdanturf, and with how the region is laid out, you could probably skip visiting this place for the time being, though we will be back later. Returning to Mauville, let's go north to Route 111. This route is also blocked by rocks, but in the space you can explore, we have something called the Trainer Hill. I can't do anything here right now, so just ignore it. Last thing here is the Windstraight family. 4 battles back to back against the Windstraights, but little do they know that I am a Pokemon Master. I am Mr. Pokemon himself. I have fought against champions and gods and... Okay, that one's on me. Doing these 4 fights net you the Macho Brace, an item that's probably very good, but I have no idea who to give it to. Also, my dog died, so I'm a little unfocused. After losing a beloved pet like that, the only natural response is to kill someone else's pet. Let's go to the gym. Watson is the Mauville City gym leader, specializing in electric-type Pokemon. His team consists of 4 Pokemon, a level 20 Voltorb, Electrike, a level 22 Magneton, and a level 24 Magnetric. Okay, Watson, you're 2 levels off with that Magnetric. While having 4 Pokemon sounds scary, I don't think Watson is all too bad. If you didn't start with Mudkip, you probably don't have a ground type yet, so either use a grass type or you're overleveled Combuskin because all your other Pokemon keep dying. Good job, Nyx. Welcome back to Route 111. We can now use Rock Smash outside a battle to, surprise, smash rocks. Puffball was so impressed by this act, he immediately evolved into Gloom. Past these rocks, you'll meet 2 trainers, Gabby and Ty. These 2 are recurring characters in the game. You fight them in a double battle, and after each encounter, they'll ask for an interview. Said interview is you saying a single word to them. I am confused. The north part of this route is inaccessible at this point due to a severe case of I don't think that's how weather works. Left leads to Route 112, and here I encounter a Marill. Alright, the second encounter is... a Marill. Alright, 3rd time's the charm. Here I find him... okay, no. Alright, a Numel. Sure, I'll take it. Up ahead here is our first encounter with Team Magma, in which I mean they completely ignore your presence and instead talk about the story. A little less dramatic than Team Aqua so far, come on guys. Our only way forward is the Fiery Path, and the only Pokemon I could find here is a Numel I already have, and a Coughing, which I've already used in Pokemon Crystal, so no. Oh, and a Machop. No. The other side of Route 112 brings us to this guy, who introduces us to another new mechanic in Gen 3, Secret Bases. By using secret power on specific tiles in the overworld, you can make a secret room to decorate to your liking. Similar to the battle tents, this is something I want to delve further into with the post-game, because as is, the only thing I can place is a Torchic doll, which I can't even place down. Overall, this is still probably the closest I'll ever get to owning a house. Our next stop is Route 113, and on this route you have a low chance of encountering a Skarmory. Alright, let's see what we got. You know, I was kinda expecting that. This route is fun. You got ash everywhere and you can run through the grass to collect it, and then you can talk to this guy who will make you items based on how much ash you have. This place is cool. I'm gonna have some severe health problems later down the line because of this, but that's beside the point. Nothing can bring down my mood. Okay, I'm starting to think maybe I shouldn't be fighting every single trainer I see. Fall Arbor Town is a quaint place. You meet Lynette here, who apparently built the storage system in this region. Honestly, better than Bill. You can name your boxes. I'd like to see Bill do that. Fall Arbor also has the 3rd battle tent, this house that has a giant hole dug through it, and the move reminder. I believe this is the first generation to have this guy. In exchange for a heart scale, this guy can teach your Pokemon moves that it may have forgotten. Heart scales are a rare commodity at this point of the game, so we'll have to come back here at a later time. Route 114 is where I found a Lombre. I'll be keeping Lombre in the box at the moment, since we're pretty far off from being able to evolve it yet. You can meet up with Lynette here on this route again. She'll give you a Lotad doll. That's a cute coincidence. This route isn't anything special. It's not a safety hazard like 113. At least Pokemaniac Steve is here. Love that man. This route leads into more rocky terrain, and at the end is the entrance to Meteor Falls. Literally all I found here is Zubat, and I refuse to use Zubat for the third time in a row. But enough about that, it's time for more plot. Team Magma is here, and they have stolen a meteorite from this scientist. Then suddenly, Archie and Team Aqua appear, and the Magma grunts book it to Mount Chimney. Archie's still not here to fight us, and actually wants to stop Team Magma from doing a stupid. Again, not really villains, but still kinda villains. It's weird. Meteor Falls loops back around to Rustboro, which you could head to if you so desire. I'm simply going to backtrack. Regardless of your path, your next destination is back where you first saw Team Magma. Take the cable car up when you're ready. Okay, this is a much better first impression. Team Aqua was harassing a museum and stealing random stuff, and Team Magma is trying to cause a volcanic eruption. We already have some contrast between these two teams, and this event clearly has much higher stakes. This area has a few grunts and one admin mini-boss. Along the path, you'll see Magma and Aqua grunts duking it out with just Poochyena. I swear, these guys love Poochyena. Even Archie has one. Eventually, you'll come across Team Magma's leader, Maxie. He explains his team's motivation, which boils down to, land is pretty neat, we want to expand the land. Okay, die! Maxie's team is a level 24 Mightyena, a Zubat, and a level 25 Camerupt. This team has a bit of variety. The Zubat is clearly the oddball here. It should at least be a Golbat by now, shouldn't it? I don't think it would have made this fight much harder. After the fight, Team Magma backs down and leaves. Archie comes up and questions what our motivation is in all of this. Personally, I like air. We should expand the atmosphere. Before leaving, make sure to grab the meteorite from the machine. Also grab a few lava cookies from this lady. You've earned it, bud. The Jagged Pass is up next. Our first trainer here has a Geodude with Magnitude. Hey, so you know when you use Dig, you're usually invulnerable for one turn beforehand? Well, there are actually a few moves that can still hit you while underground, and will even do more damage. Earthquake is one of them, and the other is Magnitude. On an unrelated note, Plum's dead. Also, I forgot to record the rest of Jagged Pass, so I'm at Lava Ridge now. This town's cute. The Poké Center in this place connects to a hot spring. It doesn't do anything, it's simply for aesthetics. This old lady here also gives you an egg. I'll carry it around, but spoiling this now, I won't be using the Pokemon that hatches from it. Lava Ridge doesn't have a Pokemart, but it does have a herb shop. Herbal medicine works like most recovery items, but lowers a Pokemon's friendship as a caveat. So if you're a heartless bastard, go ahead, grab as many as you want. Last place of interest is of course the 4th gym. Remember how Sabrina in the first game had this teleportation puzzle that was really annoying? Yeah, this gym brings that idea back, but now the rooms are different shapes, so it's easier to keep track of where you've been. Some of these weird ash piles are trainers in disguise, so be prepared for that. This gym is fire themed. If you have any water type Pokemon, you should be fine. Otherwise, I don't know, get a Pokemon with high special defense. The gym leader for this place is Flannery. Her team is a level 24 Numel, Slugma, level 26 Camerupt, and a level 29 Torkoal. Yeah, that's certainly a jump up from Maxie. The scariest thing she can do is use Overheat, an extremely powerful fire-type move that all of her Pokemon can spam. Assuming she ever gets a turn to attack. Peekaboo just shreds this fight. I almost feel bad. May will be waiting outside the gym. She'll give you the Go Goggles and tells you where to head next. With 4 badges in hand, that only means one thing. Our next gym leader is Norman. Dear old dad. If you remember, Norman's gym is back at Petalburg. And before you ask, nope, we still do not have HM Fly. You gotta walk all the way there. But to be honest, this part actually highlights one of my favorite aspects of the region. At least this half of the region. Hoenn is very interconnected. As you go through the journey, you'll gradually unlock shortcuts and places that loop back on each other. As an example, Meteor Falls brings you back to Rustboro, and then you can head left to Rustturf Tunnel, which brings you back to Verdanturf. Most of the important cities will only take you a few minutes to travel to, so the lack of HM Fly is not much of a hindrance. And without fast travel, it really feels like I'm actually exploring and traveling a whole region. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Pokemon Emerald is the best Metroidvania I've played this year. I'm completely joking, don't take that seriously. There's nothing stopping you from heading to Petalburg immediately, but it's clear you should be using this time for preparations and more exploration. First things first, with the Go Goggles, we can now travel the desert back on Route 111. Technically, this place is still a part of the route, but I always count it as a separate area. I caught a Trapinch here. I really like this Pokemon. It evolves into a dragon later, but its menu sprite is oddly pink or magenta. I named him Pinky. The most notable thing about the desert is how it affects battling. Every fight in this area will have a permanent sandstorm effect in play. Was weather a thing in Gen 2? I feel like it was, but I can't remember any instance of it. Anyway, weather effects are things that affect battling. In a sandstorm, for instance, any Pokemon that isn't ground, steel, or rock will take a small bit of damage every turn. There are loads of weather effects, like sunlight, rain, and hail. Some moves cause weather, some abilities summon it, and some weather effects depend on the overworld. Although most weather effects have a very small impact on battling. I'm sure it's more important in competitive play, but here I'm at most mildly annoyed. Still, I really like the mechanic, especially here where it ties the weather theme of this game into the battles naturally. Every so often when you enter the desert, you'll see this tower appear. The Mirage Tower is a small dungeon where you'll need the Mach Bike to fully traverse. At the end you'll find 2 fossils, the Root and Claw fossil. Taking one will cause the tower and the other fossil to fade into the sand. Picking a fossil is always a tough choice in Pokemon games. It's like picking a starter where you can't go back, so you really have to consider your options. I'm joking, I always go Root Fossil. To revive the fossil, head back to Rustboro and enter the Devon Corporation. I feel I always go back and forth on whether a fossil Pokemon is allowed in a Nuzlocke. Same with gift Pokemon. I think in this case I'll allow it because technically speaking I got it in Rustboro, not the desert. Also, have you looked at my team recently? I need more Pokemon. While you're here, talk to the Devon president. For all your troubles, he'll reward you with the experience share. Next up, go right to Rustboro to the Rust Turf Tunnel. Break the rocks here to clear the way. This guy will be grateful and give you HM strength. We'll need this to finish the game. Because of all this running around I've been doing, the egg finally hatched into Wynot. Thanks. Why? Last order of business is some training. I level up Nyx until she evolves into Blaziken. Is this overkill? Probably, but I do have a reason. This is the team I'm going in with, just Nyx and Peekaboo. If this next gym ends in a team wipe, I'll at least have some Pokemon left in the box to continue on. So, with that, it's time to journey back to Petalburg. I consider this gym to signal the halfway point of Pokemon Emerald. It's a big moment. It's a fight against a parental figure, it's a gym immediately following another gym, and by this point you've probably amassed a strong team. Probably. This will be a true test of your strength. So then, are you ready? Let's find out. The Petalburg gym has a unique gimmick. Instead of having a puzzle or a maze, instead we have a series of rooms. Each room has a trainer that specializes in one thing. Attack, accuracy, one-hit KO moves, things like that. You get a choice on what rooms you visit, unless you're like me and go through every room anyway. Hey, it's free experience. The actual theme of the gym is normal-type Pokemon. Only weakness is fighting, but really any Pokemon can take this gym on and be fine. Theoretically speaking, of course. I'm using Nyx here because, oh hey, look at that fighting type. Norman will be waiting in the final room. The preceding dialogue is short and to the point. We're not here to reconnect, no, we're here to fight. Norman leads with a level 27 Spidna, definitely his weakest Pokemon. Vigoroth follows suit, a hint of what's to come. I want to mention that 3 of his 4 moves are normal type, but his last move is Feint Attack, dark type. So, if you somehow had a pure ghost type Pokemon by this point and thought you could cheese this fight, yeah, tough luck. Linoone is up next, and this guy only has normal type moves, meaning you could cheese this guy. He has Belly Drum too, so watch out for that. If you're wondering, I only look up gym leaders' teams after each fight, not before, because that would be cheating. I only do mild cheating, like have an overleveled fighting type Pokemon. And now we have his final member, a level 31 Slacking. This is a terrifying Pokemon. Unless you're playing competitively, Slacking doesn't even get a tier. That's sad. Slacking has stats comparable to most legendary Pokemon. Thus, he hits like an absolute truck, can tank hits for days, and is faster than you think. He has a Citrus Berry and can put your Pokemon to sleep. And worst of all, this Slacking knows counter, meaning if you hit him hard but don't kill him, well... The only thing holding Slacking back is his ability, Truant. Slacking only attacks every other turn. Try to capitalize on that fact. Maybe only attack on turns where he can't counter. The remainder of this fight was Peekaboo repeatedly falling asleep, doing chip damage, and repeated healing on both sides. But unfortunately for Norman, I'm the main character. Slacking falls, and I win. And there we have it, 5 gym badges in hand. Wally's uncle, or dad, I keep forgetting, drags us to his place and gives us HM Surf, a symbol for what's to come. You can finally surf on water, opening up new paths on a lot of earlier routes. From here on out, you're pretty much required to have a water-type Pokemon on your team. To continue the story, we'll have to head back to Mauville, but I need to do some thinking. I am now sitting at 5 gym badges, and I have been playing for almost 10 hours at this point. And after all of my troubles, all I have to show for it is an Azumarill and 3 other Pokemon that are barely reaching level 20, and a Spinda, but they don't count. At the pace I'm going, I expect to be dead by like the next route, so I think now would be a good time to do some major grinding. I'll be training 3 Pokemon each, which is a lot, but it can't be that bad, right? Right? Oh hey, I didn't see you there. You've just caught me in the middle of fishing. It's very boring, but, you know, also therapeutic. Sometimes, after a long day, all I want to do is just sit down, cast my line, and reel in the fish. And let me tell you all, I have had a day. You see, it all started this morning when I asked myself, why am I still nuzlocking this game? This is supposed to be like a retrospective type of playthrough thing. What's the point of the nuzlock at this point? I thought about this question for a while, at least 5 hours, and I came to the conclusion that, yeah, the nuzlocke was a dumb idea. But you know what? I'm stubborn, so let's keep going. I threw Lily back into the box and focused on training Leapster and Pinky. I don't know how long this took, but it was probably at least a few decades. I sort of gave up halfway through though, so now I have a level 31 Trapinch and a level 26 Laleep. Ufiena is also here, the loyal HM steed. I returned to Mauville soon after to pick up Blip back from the daycare center. He is a hardened soldier now, ready for war. On that note, Nincada has arguably the coolest evolution in the entire franchise, as at level 20, Nincada will not only evolve into Ninjask, but if you have a spare party slot, you will find the empty shell Shedinja. Ninjask has the ludicrous ability Speed Boost, raising its speed stat after every turn. Do you think it needed the boost? Shedinja is a bug ghost type with the ability Wonder Guard, nullifying any and all damage except from super effective attacks. And also weather. And also entry hazards. And also he has 1 HP. Okay, you're going to the box. Later on, I also returned to Fall Arbor and retaught Blip Sword Stance. This is gonna be fun. Alright, this is the team now. What went wrong? When we last left off, we just got access to HM Surf. This is arguably the most important HM in the game, due to how much of the region is just ocean. As such, if you don't have a water-type Pokemon by this point, congrats! To continue the story, return to Mauville and head right to Route 118. Previously, without Surf, we only had access to a small part of this route. But now we can cross the ocean, fight a level 16 Wingull because sure, and finally see the other side of the Hoenn region. You'll also meet Steven again, and he talks about how much he loves Rock and Stone, brother. To the right is Route 123. 90% of this route is inaccessible, but we do have the Berry Master's house. This place is essentially a spot where you can plant a bunch of berries at once. It is useful, even if it is a bit far from Mauville. I took a break from the main path and returned to Mauville. Again, Mauville is the Peach's castle of Pokemon. I noticed Watson standing out in the open, and he has a side quest for us. No, seriously, a genuine side quest. It's completely optional. This is the first time in this entire playthrough where I feel like I'm playing an RPG. Watson gives you the key to New Mauville, an underground sector found on Route 110. Shoutouts to this sign, by the way. This game is so stupid. I love it. New Mauville is filled with a whole bunch of electric-type Pokemon. Do you guys think they're gonna do that thing where a Voltorb disguises itself as an item on the ground? Holy shit! New Mauville is a small dungeon. You got some switches to press, a few Voltorbs to fight, and at the end you turn off the generator. Your reward for doing this is a Thunderstone and TM24 Thunderbolt. Kind of underwhelming, but I do enjoy optional content. Okay, let's get back to the plot. Route 119 is up north and starts with these unique grass tiles, and in that grass we have some trainers here that I think are supposed to be mimicking your movements. Every battle you'll have here is in the rain, since it's raining on this route as well. We have this house which is filled with... We gotta get out of here. You cross a bridge passing over this river, escalate upwards into rocky terrain, and to cap it all off, the end of this route features this building, the Weather Institute. This route has a lot going on. It's one of my favorite routes in the game, in the entire series if I'm honest. Though I don't think that's saying much because who in the world has opinions on Pokemon routes? Who is out there ranking routes on a tier list? Seriously, who? Send me the link, that sounds interesting. The Weather Institute is being occupied by Team Aqua. Why? Because clearly Archie just assumed the place controlled the weather. I mean, look at him. Do you think this man went to college? Fight through the grunts and the Aqua admin Shelly. She brought a fish and her dog to work. A grunt will appear after the fight saying that Team Magma is heading to Mount Pyre. Shelly says, and Team Aqua leaves. The scientists are grateful for your help and reward you with a Pokemon, Castform. I would have preferred Cash. Castform is a Pokemon that changes form depending on the weather, which you can test right now on the current route. Beyond that fact, it's not good. I feel like this creature's existence is solely here to remind you of this game's weather theme. It's a filler Pokemon. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not really meant for battle. You may be tempted to continue onwards immediately after clearing the Weather Institute, and if you do, May ambushes you for a fight. She's only got 3 Pokemon, but it's still kinda rude. After that fight, the rest of the route should be a breeze, damn it. Welcome to Fortree City, a town built on trees. This is where you can buy furniture for your secret bases. Good for everyone else, but I can't afford furniture at the moment. Look, I live in a treehouse, alright? Do you think I have money? The gym for this city is inaccessible due to invisible walls, so let's continue onwards to Route 120, using my wonderful gameplay footage that's for some reason moving at 5 frames a second. Steven's also on this route, and he hands you the Devon scope. I think that's what happened anyway, I can't tell what he's saying. This item's sole purpose is to let you see invisible Kecleons, such as the one right in front of you. Kecleon is a Pokemon that changes typing whenever you hit it. It's another gimmick Pokemon. I really like Kecleon, if only because of the Mystery Dungeon series. And if that series taught me anything, it's that Kecleon is a demon to be feared. It is a god amongst mortals, who would tear the world asunder if ever parted from his wares. I named him Morshu. Route 120 is another long route, but this time, instead of heading up, you're heading down. I really like how after a certain point, the rain will stop and you can see clouds in the water's reflections. It's a small detail, but I like it. Also, Pinky evolved, making him slightly less terrible. Route 121 immediately follows, and this is where we catch up to Team Aqua. They are indeed heading to Mount Pyre, and so are we. I have nothing else planned today. Mount Pyre is similar to the Pokemon Tower back in Kanto. It's a resting place for Pokemon, where trainers pay their respects. Is it wrong to be catching Pokemon here? I feel like the Shuppet was definitely someone's Growlithe in a past life. There's two parts to this place, the interior and the exterior. Should you explore the interior, you'll find that your Vibrava will almost die to a Wobbuffet. Twice. And you'll also get the TM Shadow Ball. The exterior of the mountain is where the plot is. I caught a Vulpix and named it Firefox. I am so clever. Team Aqua is at the peak, and they are so serious about this mission, they made my footage all choppy. How does this keep happening? Team Magma already left this place, stealing something called the Blue Orb. Archie leaves with the Red Orb. The old man here explains the significance of the orbs. Basically, long ago, two Pokemon, known as the Pokemon of the Land and Pokemon of the Sea, were fighting. The Red Orb and Blue Orbs were used to calm them down and quell their fight. Maxie and Archie's plan is to use these orbs in order to reawaken and control these ancient Pokemon. A solid plan on paper, but did Archie and Maxie ever mention the fact that they're colorblind? The old lady will give you a magma emblem. That's about it for this place. That was a fun detour. Returning to Route 121, we got this game's Safari Zone. It works like how it did in Kanto. You can catch Pokemon, but not fight them. There are some new mechanics tied to Pokeblocks, but I can't be bothered to learn about them. I threw a ball at a Girafarig and it ran. I don't blame him. Since I didn't catch anything, I instead evolved Firefox with the Firestone I found off screen. Boom, instant Ninetales. Lilycove City is home to our first and only contest hall. There's also an art museum. I think this is tied to another side quest. I'm not sure how you do this, nor do I know what you get out of it, but hey, it's here. We also have this region's only department store, with May waiting outside. Talking to her will initiate the next rival battle. She uses only 4 Pokemon, and her starter hasn't even evolved yet. I know we're not close to the end of the game yet, but I do feel like her team's a bit underleveled at this point. I'll cut her some slack, since there are still a few gyms left to go. Oh, she went back to Little Root. She's not coming back, is she? Yeah, so that was the rival of Pokemon Emerald. Long story short, I don't like him. Gen 3 has one of the more forgettable rivals in the franchise, and it's simply just for the fact that they don't do anything. They barely have a personality, and if they were removed from the game, I probably wouldn't even notice. To be fair, your rival does have a different goal from you. Their main concern is with the Pokédex, not gym badge collecting, so it does make sense that you would outpace them. But at that point, I question the term rival. If you were to ask me, I think they should have cut the rival entirely, and then used their scenes to develop other characters like Steven, or Wally. Yeah, remember him? He also barely shows up. I don't think this game really handled its recurring characters that well. I could go on about this topic, but I just remembered that Leapster evolved. Also, I think Fortree had a gym. Reveal the hidden Kecleon in front of the gym and head inside. This gym's puzzle gimmick is rotating sprites, because the Game Boy Advance is the most powerful system ever created. Winona is the leader of the city, and she specializes in flying-type Pokemon. She carries a level 29 Swablu, Tropius, a level 30 Pelipper, a level 31 Skarmory, and a level 33 Altaria. Winona is a weird opponent. I've heard some people struggle against this fight, and to be fair, if you allow Altaria to set up with Dragon Dance, I can see it. Of course I wouldn't know, because I one-shotted everything using Rollout. Winona simply cannot contend with the power of a very round Azumarill. Alright, 6 badges down, 2 more to go. Got to Environmental Terrace, trying to summon gods. I mentioned something about a hall? I'll be upfront about this, I'm not doing Pokemon contests. I was planning to, and I actually do have the footage to cover it, but I ultimately decided to cut it and save it for a different video. With that said, I can talk a little about them. I remember the anime was really pushing contests for Generation 3 and 4. They were always treated with a lot of importance, almost equal to the gym leader challenges. And that's funny when you realize how underutilized they are here. This game has count 'em, one contest hall. There were more in Ruby and Sapphire, but the other contest halls were replaced with battle tents, which only really served to advertise the new battle frontier. So you can't even do contests until over halfway through the main story. And in addition, they don't do anything? I want to save a full explanation of contests for the future, but I'll say it right now, contests don't give you anything in helping you beat the game. Contest stats don't correlate to battle stats. Just because your Cradley has an IQ of 209, it's not going to come up with any new cool battle tactics. You get ribbons for participating, if you're into that sort of thing. I do like ribbons, I'll admit, but it's not like a major thing. I've never touched contests until this playthrough, and I'll admit, I had a bit of fun doing one, but not enough to justify sinking any more time into them. I can see why they were dropped in later entries, and I'm not exactly missing them. Well, that was a fun 2 hours. Now what? There's no gym in Lily Cove, and the route ahead is blocked. We can access a part of Team Aqua's hideout, which is just here, but that's it. Okay, let's retrace our steps a bit. On Mount Pyre, you receive something called the Magma Emblem. This gives us access to Team Magma's hideout. So all we need to do is find out where they're hiding. This is gonna take a while. Their home base can be found on the Jagged Pass. Hey, look at this, I actually recorded it this time. The entrance will reveal itself as soon as you approach, and you can enter. The Magma hideout contains wild encounters. Lovely. This place is a giant cave. Not exactly a maze, but a bit spacious. It's got random generators, a few grunts, and some lava pools strewn about. Team Magma doesn't know the first thing about interior decorating. After fumbling around, I managed to reach the end of it, damn it. With the blue orb in hand, Maxie reawakens the legendary Pokemon of the land, Groudon. You may recognize Groudon for his impeccable role as guy on the box of Pokemon Ruby. It's a shame nobody ever told Maxie that Groudon is red, because as soon as he sees the blue orb, Groudon screams and flies away. Maxie sees us and assumes that we did something wrong and challenges us to a fight. He carries a level 37 Mightyena, a level 38 Crobat, a level 39 Camerupt, and that's it. In Maxie's defense, he was probably going to add Groudon to his party, but still, what kind of team is this, man? Team Magma retreats after the fight, and that is the end of this area. But we still got Team Aqua to deal with. I always forget where to go after this part. Long story short, fly back to Slateport, check out this crowd of people, Team Aqua steals a submarine, go beat them up. The Aqua hideout is much more put together than Magma's place was. We got actual tiles, guardrails, this man who's on patrol, and most importantly, teleporters. There aren't too many here, so you shouldn't get confused, but there is this mess of a puzzle. If you manage to get to the end, you'll be rewarded with a Master Ball. Not bad, but there's also a level 30 Electrode. And yeah, of course I got it, why wouldn't I? Behold, mimic the Electrode. He could have died there. I gotta hand it to Archie. He knows how to put together a secret base. If only he could hide the entrance. Team Aqua's admin, Matt, fights you here, but Archie manages to get away. All in all, we managed to accomplish almost nothing. I am so glad I did this. Both of the evil teams are out of the picture for the time being. Now we can return to our gym challenge. All we have to do is cross the ocean. Okay, let's talk about it. Pokemon Emerald is one of the more polarizing entries in the franchise. I can say that about every Pokemon game actually, forget I ever said that. I think overall, people do like Gen 3. It wasn't a revolutionary game in the series, but it refined the core gameplay experience and introduced many features still used today. There are definitely things you can critique about this generation, but most issues I feel are minor and can be ignored for the most part. But there is one major aspect that cannot be ignored. One aspect that, for many, drags the entire game down and ruins the experience. The water routes. In an effort to play up the land and sea theme of this game, Game Freak wanted to have an equal number of land and sea routes. A solid idea on paper, but the execution was not good. Too much water is a meme within the Pokemon community because it sounds really stupid when said aloud. But the thing is, I get it. From this point on, right up till the end of the game, you're going to be traversing nearly exclusively on sea routes. What's the issue with that? Well, for one, yeah, that's not great, but a repel can nullify this problem pretty easily. The problems don't end there, however. If you haven't noticed, we are currently on water. And so are the trainers. And the wild Pokemon. Guess what you're going to be fighting for the next 4 hours. This final segment of the game is infested with water-type Pokemon. Trainer battles? Water. Looking for a new team member? Hope you like Tentacool. Remember that Ninetales I caught earlier? Yeah, he's not going to be doing a damn thing here. This is the Electrode show now. One thing I have praised this game for doing is having unique land routes. The ash-covered Route 113, the Marathon Run of 119, the Desert Ruins. There's a lot of variety here compared to previous games. But once you get to the sea roots, yeah, that gets thrown out the window. Oh man, I love this rock formation. Like, what do you want me to say? All of these roots look and feel the damn same. They just blend into one another, and the most unique things here are these currents and underwater sections. And the worst part is, I don't think it needed to be like this. If you got HM Surf early on, and if the water roots were more spread out throughout the game, instead of being grouped together right here at the end, I don't think people would be complaining nearly as much. But as it is, it hampers the pacing, and it's easily the worst aspect of this game. And this is why Team Magma was right. Moss Deep City can be found isolated on an island. The notable landmark for this place is the Space Center. You can find Scott right outside, who thinks something's about to go down there. He doesn't care all that much though, and he leaves to go, I don't know, talk about the Wii U or something. He loves doing that. This next gym is one of my favorites. The puzzle here is tiles. Step on a tile, idiots get rotated. The main gimmick of this gym is double battles. Every battle here, including the gym leader fight, can be a double battle. Like I said before, this game loves its double battles. Literally can't get enough of this stuff. The actual fight against the leaders, Tate and Liza, isn't too bad. They have Azatu and Claydol, and then Solrock and Lunatone. Does anyone have any opinion on these two Pokemon? Do you have any strong feelings with these ones? Adoration? Scorn? Lust? I forget these Pokemon exist every day, and I sleep soundly for it. Also, Pinky evolved again. Good for him. Our gym challenge is finally nearing its end, and with how close we are to the finish line, I think I deserve a small break. I think I'll spend the rest of the day at the Space Center, and why do I even bother? Team Magma is hijacking the Space Center. Apparently Maxie's plan now is to take the rocket fuel from this place and throw it into Mount Chimney to make it erupt. I would like to remind you that Groudon is still awake and in God knows where. You think Team Magma would be a little more concerned that the god they summoned is running around somewhere, but they've already moved on to Plan B. The fight against Maxie is a double battle where you team up with Steven. You only control your Pokemon while the AI controls the other. I love the idea of teaming up with another person in a double battle like this, though this is the only instance of it happening in this game. As a result of losing this fight, combined with the other two failed attempts to erupt the volcano, Maxie begins having an existential crisis on whether Team Magma's plan is misguided. I mean, to be frank, the whole Groudon thing was your own fault there. I had nothing to do with that. Team Magma retreats for now, and Steven asks us to meet at his place. We enter his house and he gives us a new HM, Dive. Now you too can experience the horrors of the ocean depths. Thanks, Rock Dude. I'll just slap that onto Peekaboo, and her moveset is looking very sad right now. On your surfing travels, you'll occasionally come across these dark patches. HM Dive allows you to enter these places, taking you underwater. The underwater sections have the same problem as the regular water routes, being too similar to one another and having only one type of Pokemon. One positive is that you can only encounter wild Pokemon in these seagrass tiles, and there are no trainers under here. But one negative is that you move slower underwater, because clearly that was the issue I was having. You're pretty much on your own for where to go next. The game is basically saying, yeah, here's Dive, find the next town yourself, idiot. Getting to the next city isn't too hard. You'll find this entrance underwater and then you can resurface. This is Sootopolis City, a place built right in the middle of a crater. How do people leave this place? Or enter, for that matter? Is this the only entrance? Do other people have to, like, fly in or something? Also, the gym here is closed? What kind of gym isn't even open 24/7? You know what, this place sucks actually. I'm gonna go beat up Team Aqua instead. Return underwater and waste an hour looking around until you find the Iron Lung. Resurface here and you'll find yourself at the seafloor cabin. Cabin? It's a cavern. This place is an actual maze, as in many of the rooms here will either loop around or teleport you back. Couple that with the currents you have to blindly follow, the strength puzzles, and the grunts you have to fight, this is the worst dungeon in the game. But if you stick through it all, you will be rewarded with the TM Earthquake, one of the best moves of all time. Slap that onto a Pokemon and decimate everything that stands in your way. Starting with this generation, it even hits multiple Pokemon in double battles. So yeah, it is worth trudging through this whole cave and— oh shit, yeah, I forgot about that guy. Archie appears and is about to reawaken the legendary Pokemon of the sea, Kyogre. But first, we have one last fight. Or first fight. This is our first fight with Archie. Why? Archie carries a level 41 Mightyena, Crobat, and a level 43 Sharpedo. Archie's team is literally just Maxie's team, but with a higher level and a shark instead of a camel. They're perfect for each other. Archie, once defeated, decides to wake up Kyogre anyway because why wouldn't he? The red orb reacts on its own, awakening Kyogre. In a similar fashion to Groudon, he screams and flies away. Maxie then shows up and then they start yelling at each other, again just like a real married couple. Everyone then exits the cavern to find— oh shit, the world's ending. With Groudon and Kyogre now active, they are both fighting without a care for their surroundings, causing intense sunlight and downpour. And should they continue, the world may very well likely end. Maxie and Archie both decide to put aside their differences and do something about this and leave. Steven then flies in to state the obvious and flies out to Zootopolis. Wise as ever, Rock Dude. Okay, this is new. This is the first Pokemon game to heavily involve the legendary Pokemon into the narrative, and at the time, I'm sure this was special. Keywords there being at the time. Something you may not notice right away is that the intense weather happening isn't just flavor text. If you enter a fight while this is happening, you'll either have rain or sunlight present in the battle. This effect only extends to a few routes, but it's still a fun detail. Groudon and Kyogre can be found in the middle of Zootopolis. Now, I'm not one to place bets or anything, but I am going to say that Kyogre is completely outmatched. Get his ass, Groudon. Archie and Maxie stand close by, but the Pokemon are not responding to the orbs. I am convinced they're colorblind. There is no reasonable explanation for this. Go talk to Steven. He'll lead you into the Cave of Origin to speak to a mysterious man. This is Wallace, the former gym leader of Zootopolis. This is the first time we meet him in this game, and I want you to keep this in mind for later, okay? Got it? Good. This is important. He tells us that there is a third ancient Pokemon out there, one that could subdue Groudon and Kyogre's battle. The Pokemon of the sky, Rayquaza. Now, me being Mr. Pokemon and all, Wallace believes that I may in fact know where this Pokemon is. We can either say Rayquaza is in the Cave of Origin, which we're currently standing in, Mount Pyre, which we were just at, Sky Pillar, a place I have never heard of, or we could just be honest and say, yeah, Wallace, I don't know, man. The answer is Sky Pillar. I don't know what Sky Pillar is, I just nod my head and say, yep, He proclaims that we must make post-haste, but he forgot to grab me before he left. Yeah, no, it's okay, I'll just catch up. Ooh, a Sableye. I did more swimming and found the entrance to Sky Pillar. Wallace actually acknowledges he straight up forgot you, but unfortunately he has to leave once again. He is trusting us to go confront Rayquaza alone. Have I mentioned that I am a child? Sky Pillar is home to the legendary Claydol. I named the Claydol Seymour. I wish I could take credit for that name. This place is really straightforward. Just make your way up to the top of the structure, and soon you will find the legendary dragon, Rayquaza. It's all been building up to this moment. At last, we finally meet. I have scoured this land for a Pokemon worthy to stand by my side. A Pokemon that will help me achieve my true ambition to expand the ozone layer. Archie and Maxie were fools. Team Magma and Aqua are nothing compared to gods like you and I. Together, we could form Team Sky. We could be unstoppable. So then, what say you, God? Oh, bye, I guess. Okay, Rayquaza was a bust. I'll just fight Groudon and Kyogre myself. I'm a big boy. I have a bomb, what are they gonna do? I'ma fly back there right now. Let's show them what we can do. That was it. Well, that's the end of that. The legendary Pokemon, the conflict between Team Magma and Aqua, all of it was building up to that. Rayquaza flies down, says ah, and the other two just piss off to the postgame. What, were you expecting more? Calling the resolution to this storyline underwhelming would be understating it. A part of me sorta likes how Rayquaza was handled. It gives the dragon a sense of power, being able to stop a quarrel between two other beasts with just a shout. But again, it's such a bizarre ending. We've been building up to this moment since, I'd say, Petalburg Woods with the Aqua Grunt. I think the ending to the Team Magma Aqua plotlines deserved a little more bravado. Maybe have a fight against Rayquaza before it flies away? Maybe extend Sky Pillar to be a full dungeon? Maybe Maxie and Archie fight you in a double battle? I don't know anything. This is one of the weaker storylines in the series. Not saying a lot, I'm aware, but I think it could have been handled better. I mean, even Archie and Maxie agree with me here, so you know I'm right. Speaking of which, after this scene, Maxie and Archie leave to parts unknown. If you fly back to Mount Pyre, you can find the two returning the orbs, and I believe this is the last time you see these two in the game. This is how their stories are wrapped up, an act that shows these two aren't as evil as they appear, just misguided. It's a good scene. Anyway, back to badge hunting. Wallace will give you HM Waterfall, our third and final water-related HM. To use Waterfall, we require the 8th badge, leading us to our next point, the final Pokemon Gym. The 8th gym puzzle is an ice tile puzzle. You guys ever play Thin Ice? Never mind. Thanks to the power of muscle memory, I cleared this puzzle on my first try. Our gym leader is this fancy fellow named Juan. Given the ice theming of this gym, Juan predictably uses ice-type Pokemon. That's not an ice-type. Juan actually uses water-type Pokemon. I hope you're not sick of water yet. His team is not a threat, grass-type, mildly a threat, a Pokemon I like but never use, and the only Pokemon I can classify as a problem. Kingdra is a part Dragon-type, removing its weakness to grass and electric, and this Kingdra has Double Team and Rest. How did I win against this thing? To be blunt, I didn't. I stalled it out with potions, and eventually the Kingdra struggled itself to death. Truly an exquisite battle of the ages. And there we have it, all 8 gym badges in hand. That's the end of the game. Thanks for watching. Check back next week for Pokemon Platinum, and also, I'm kidding, we still have like 5 hours of game left. Before heading to the endgame, I want to do some last-minute exploration. First up, if you go left from Sootopolis, you'll find the last major city, Pacifilog Town. This town is completely optional, which is a shame. It's one of the more interesting towns in the game, being on the water held up by logs. Where did you come from? That's a good question. The route following that will have these currents that carry you around. If you take a specific path here, you can find this underwater patch that leads to the actual best puzzle in the entire franchise. I'm not going to do it for this playthrough, but just know that it's genuinely the coolest puzzle. I want to give a special mention to Route 108 featuring the abandoned ship. This is a cool side area to explore, even if there's not much actually here. There's just some trainers to fight and this unique puzzle. The actual rewards though are pretty underwhelming. Got Ice Beam at least, always a good move. After the water routes, I checked out a few other places I missed, such as the Shoal Cave. This cave's sole existence is to give you a held item, and it sucks. I did catch a Spheal though. Wow, king. And after that, I got bored and shifted my attention towards crafting the perfect team, changing up movesets and deciding who will be in the final party. And after an hour of preparations, boom. This is my team. Peekaboo, the HM slave, Leapster, the one-trick pony, Flygon, the absolute mess of a moveset, Firefox, also kind of a one-trick pony, Mimic, another Pokemon with practically one move, Seymour. This team kinda sucks. The Pokemon League can be found right of Sootopolis. Scale the waterfall and you will reach Evergrande City. Where's the city? We do have one more cave to get through before reaching the Pokemon League. Victory Road. Are you ready? Because I'm not. Almost immediately when you enter Victory Road, you'll bump into Wally. Yeah, remember him? We saw him last in Mauville City about 80 hours ago? Well, he's back, with all that off-screen character development, and he's ready to show off his all-new team. Wally has an Altaria, Delcatty, Magneton, a Roselia, and his ace, Gardevoir. Most of these Pokemon aren't too dangerous. The Altaria might cause some trouble if you let it set up with Dragon Dance, but otherwise, there's only one Pokemon you should be scared of. Gardevoir. Wally's Gardevoir has Double Team, Calm Mind, Psychic, and Future Sight. I tried burning Gardevoir first and then switching to Leapster to chip away at it. Unfortunately, Wally uses a full restore to remove the effect. I tried using Toxic, but the Gardevoir's Synchronize ability also poisons Leapster. I switched to Seymour and used Sandstorm for more chip damage. Wally uses another full restore. I'm beginning to think this might be karma for earlier. I make a bad move and keep Seymour in. He takes the Future Sight and collapses into mud. Okay, we can still win this. I send in Mimic next and oh shit, he's almost dead. I throw in Peekaboo. She takes some damage and then oh shit, another Future Sight. Alright, this is going great. Get in there, Leapster. I probably should have healed you. Cradily is pretty tanky. I can probably stall out the Gardevoir. That's a critical hit. Firefox, can you do anything? No, okay. Mimic, I shouldn't even ask. Pinky can probably handle this fight. That's another Future Sight, damn it. I lost. Well played, Wally. Hey, so do you remember the fact that I'm technically nuzlocking this game? Yeah, that's still happening, and honestly, the longer it goes on, the more I question why I did it in the first place. I make these videos to be like fun, retrospective playthroughs, and honestly, I don't think the nuzlock is really enhancing the experience at this point. I mean, it is fun to play the game this way. I do implore you try doing a nuzlock yourself, or any self-imposed challenge run, really. But in regards to this video, yeah, I don't really see a point anymore. I'm just gonna throw in the towel here and play the rest of the game as normal. On the topic of difficulty, I do think Pokemon Emerald is a step up from Gen 2 in terms of challenge. Not a major step up, but I did feel like I had to strategize a little more often in this title compared to previous games. I took advantage of stuff like the move reminder, held items, and TMs whenever possible. There aren't a lot of difficulty spikes, but the challenge does ramp up slowly. at least until I get to Route 124. Then I completely shut my brain off and click Thunderbolt. Nuzlocke aside, I'd still say this is one of the harder games so far. I cannot wait to talk about Gen 6. Alright, let's try this again. Round 2 with Wally goes by much better. Gardevoir died in 2 hits this time. I'm genuinely a little mad how easy it was. This is the last time you'll be fighting and seeing Wally in the main story. In total, Wally had, what, 3 appearances in the game? 4? Just like the main rival, the remakes do improve and expand on Wally's story. He still has a minor role in those games, but he gets a cool theme, and that's all you really need. Okay, Victory Road time. These are a staple in the franchise, at least in the early games. Would you believe me if I said this is the first Victory Road I like? And by that, I mean it's actually difficult. Like, wow. Unlike Gens 1 and 2, this feels like an appropriate final challenge. You have a gauntlet of trainers with powerful Pokemon, you utilize nearly every TM move just to traverse, and this is one of the longest caves in the game. Trainers aren't afraid to use fully evolved Pokemon anymore. This double battle near the end of the cave throws 2 Slackings at you, in case it wasn't clear how much this game hates you. I didn't have any revives while going through this, so my team at the end was looking like this. I'm sure this is a good sign. I was too busy dying to remember what else happened on Victory Road, so let's move on. Welcome to Evergrande City, again. Seriously, where is the city? And welcome to the Pokemon League. We have the typical Pokecenter shop section and the doors leading to the Elite Four. You can probably guess, but I did even more last-minute team adjustments. This involved fixing Pikablu's moveset and replacing Firefox with Morshu, because Kecleon is a cooler Pokemon, I'm sorry. My final issue is levels. My team is a tad underleveled to take on the Elite Four. The Elite Four start off with Pokemon in the mid-40s and finish off in the mid-50s. It's a mild difficulty spike, but still better than Johto. This shouldn't take too long. I may have gone overboard. Here is my final team. Overall, I'm very happy with this lineup. It's a lot of random Pokemon I've never used before, and I feel it's very unique for it. Yeah, it could be better, but I'm attached to these guys. I wouldn't trade them for the world. Speaking of which, let's go take on the world. You should know how this goes by now. There are 4 trainers, defeat them all to become the region's strongest trainer. Our first Elite Four match is against Sydney, the Dark-type specialist. He has a Mightyena, Shiftry, Cacturn, Crawdon, and Absol. His Shiftry might be the most annoying member since he has Double Team, but otherwise Sydney is no trouble. He is just the warm-up. Our second match is Phoebe, the Ghost-type member. She has a Dusclops, Bayonet, Sableye, another Bayonet, and another Dusclops. Ghost Pokemon are hard to find, I guess. I find Phoebe's team more annoying than difficult. Curse is like poison on steroids, and practically requires you to switch out, and one Bayonet uses Grudge. Grudge makes you lose all of the PP for one move, and if you don't have any Ethers, that effectively gets rid of a move entirely. She's not the worst member, but I did lose Morshu here. And yes, I did forget to buy revives. Thank you for asking. Our third member is Glacia, the Ice-type master. She has a Celio, a Glalie, a Glalie, and a Walrein. What a great team. The biggest problem with Glacia is that Ice-types are strong against a lot of Pokemon, including half my team. Her Pokemon also know Hail, putting it up at every opportunity. I left this fight in Mimic's hands. Electrodes don't have hands, but that's okay, he still won. The final Elite Four member is Drake, the Dragon-type trainer. He carries a Shelgon, an Altaria, a Kingdra, a Flygon, and a Salamence. While the Salamence is his ace Pokemon, I honestly had more trouble with Kingdra. I don't know what it is with this Pokemon, I struggle with it every time. Mimic died to a Body Slam, Seymour couldn't get a hit in, Pikablu survived 3 turns total, and I eventually slayed a beast with Pinky. I kept him out for the remainder of the fight. It was very tense. Dragon types are weak against other dragons, but my Flygon is cooler, stronger, oh nope, he's dead too. I stalled out Salamence with Leapster and ended the fight. And just like that, the Elite Four has been conquered. After all of that, I can confidently say that Drake is clearly the MVP here. The rest of you really need to start pulling your weight. No, in all seriousness, this Elite Four was pretty good. I felt it was more annoying than difficult, but I do appreciate the challenge nonetheless. No, we're not done yet. Of course, we still have the champion to deal with. The most powerful trainer in all of the Hoenn region. The only person standing between me and finishing this video. Who could it be? Well, who else? He's been here since the beginning, popping up whenever the plot demands, helping you, fighting alongside you. That's right, the final boss of Pokemon Emerald is none other than Steven Stone. You're not Steven. Yeah, this is one change I'm not a big fan of. In Ruby and Sapphire, the champion was Steven Stone. He specialized in Steel and Rock-type Pokemon. For whatever reason, they changed it to where Wallace is now the champion. Wallace was just the gym leader for Sootopolis in the original game. Why was this change made? I have no idea. But for me at least, Wallace is a significantly weaker champion than Steven. One of the reasons why for me is that Steven is still the one who helps you out in the main story. He is the person with you throughout the whole journey. Wallace is just a guy we met a few hours ago. He hasn't had a big presence up until now. So to reveal him as the strongest trainer in all of Hoenn, it doesn't do anything for me, because I barely know this dude. Anyone else would have been a better choice. Scott would have been a better choice. But that's not my reason why I dislike Wallace. It's a part of it, but that's just one fragment of the larger issue. This guy right here, the champion of all of Hoenn, specializes in water-type Pokemon. I am so glad I leveled up my Ninetales to 42. This is the most baffling final boss in a Pokemon game. Why does the champion of the region use the same type as the last gym leader? Why would you give him Pokemon that I have been fighting for the past 5 hours? If you've gotten to this point, you probably have a team built to take down water types. I certainly did. This fight is a victory lap. He isn't a pushover, to be clear. His team is very strong. But if you got to this point, you've basically won. That is assuming you're not me, who reached him with only a level 56 Cradily left. I knocked out Wailord at least. That's a win in my books. Alright, it's attempt number 2, and I reached Wallace with my full team. It turns out revives are actually a good item. Who would have thought? Wallace has a Wailord, a Gyarados, a Wishcash, a Tentacruel, a Ludicolo, and a Milotic. His levels range from 55 to 58. Mimic and Leapster were the MVPs for this fight, as you can guess. You already know how this ends. Not even Milotic could contend with the power of an upside-down Pokeball. One good Thunderbolt to the face, and that's a wrap. Professor Birchin may appear after defeating Wallace. Birch will go ahead and grade your Pokedex. His final verdict? I am very bad at this. Wallace will bring you to the Hall of Fame. You already know what my team is. Did Seymour ever win a battle? I don't think he did. He's clearly the weak link here. And that was Pokemon Emerald. Most of it, anyway. We still have all of the post-game left to play through, which I may talk about another time. Emerald's post-game is definitely not as long or ambitious as Gen 2. But I will say, I think Pokemon Emerald has the quintessential post-game experience. There's plenty of new Pokemon to catch, including the legendary Pokemon. You can rematch against all of the gym leaders who have higher level teams, the battle frontier opens up, giving you more unique battling options, and this game even has a super boss with Steven. There's also stuff I've glossed over, like the Trainer Hill, the Trick House, the secret bases. There are plenty of things here to keep you busy for hours. It's still not the best or most expansive post-game, but I do think it's the standard experience one should expect from Pokemon. There's plenty more I probably could talk about, such as the cut content, the mythical Pokemon, the limited time events, but I don't think any of that's necessary for this video. Do I even need to say my final thoughts? I think you get the picture by now. I love Pokemon Emerald. I do have gripes with this game, especially the second half, but that doesn't change my opinion. Is it the best Pokemon game? Far from it. I don't blame anyone for not liking this game. It's no masterpiece, and it's not even my favorite game in the franchise, but it's the one I have the most nostalgia for, and therefore it is perfect. But now you may be asking, what about the remakes? Yes, the Hoenn region got remakes in 2014 for the Nintendo 3DS, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Oh god, that was almost 10 years ago. As the name implies, these are remakes of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, not Emerald. What this means is that these games don't have the battle frontier, 0 out of 10. I'm joking, of course. I enjoy these remakes as well. It fixes a lot of the smaller issues I had with Gen 3, and adds in features from later generations. The physical special split, mega evolutions, new evolutions in general, and they finally got that day and night cycle working. These games even made Sableye and Mawile viable, you can't deny that. They may have overdid it. I play both the original and the remakes from time to time, and with all that being said, I do still prefer Emerald. Is it nostalgia bias? Oh, absolutely, but it's my opinion. You can't do anything about it. I prefer how Emerald looks. I'm not a fan of the 3D visuals of ORAS. I'm also not a big fan of the post-game and the remakes. The Delta episode is no replacement for an actual Emerald remake. There's just a few missteps here and there that lead me to not liking these games as much as Emerald. Plus, they didn't fix the water issue, 0 out of 10. And that's everything from me. If you're still here, thanks for watching this whole thing. I really need to take a break from making these longer videos. But I had a lot to say about this game, and I don't regret it. It's also better than all of Platinum. Oops, did I say that out loud?